I've always said that activism is driven by those with the most to lose. That's why regular cis white men like me were so involved in AIDS in the 80s. We were dying. What happened after we got what we came for, we left and were never seen or heard from again. And we left behind all of these folks who did not have the resources we had. And to me, that is the outrage and the tragedy of what happened post-AIDS.
Hello and welcome to Power Beyond Pride, a weekly queer change-making podcast bringing you voices and ideas from across our fierce and fabulous spectrum to transform our world. I am Mattie Bynum, the hostess with the mostest, and I am she, her, my pronouns I will say, and I'm an actress, comedian, singer, dancer, funny, hoot, plus-size model, just all around great joy to be around. And if not, I don't care because I love me more than anything else. Yes. And I am here today with my beautiful, amazing co-host, Mr. Shane himself. Go ahead and introduce yourself, baby.
Thank you, Mattie. I am Shane Lukas, he, him, his. I am a lifelong harm reduction activist. I am the owner of A Great Idea. And I am actually the victor in the war with a tick that decided to make its home on my anatomy. So yes, woohoo, woohoo. I caught it before it could do damage. So I'm a winner of nature. I feel like a victor. And we are your nature always trying to kill you. I don't care what anybody says, always trying to kill you. All right. You know who not? We are trying to celebrate and elevate queer activists today. And today on our Queercast journey, both Mattie and I are going to be your co-hosts. And in this episode, we are talking to Mark S. King, blogger, activer. That is a new term. You heard it here, and I am going to make it a thing. HIV AIDS activist and the author of My Fabulous Disease, Chronicles of a Gay Survivor. Mark, it's so great to meet you in person. You and I have been connecting in different digital forms forever. So thank you for joining today.
You are so welcome. I love y'all's energy. I'm Mark, he, him, his. I love to live in a world where we still share our pronouns to make the world safer for all of us.
Okay. Yes.
Love that.
I love it. Well, first off, can I just highlight again activer? What is an activer? Mark, can you just give us the definition?
I don't know. Maybe you've seen you're acting like an activist, but that doesn't sound too good because I think I've been the real deal for a while. So I don't know. Maybe people say actor sometimes, and I guess that's true. I guess back in the day when I was just a little gay-bee in Hollywood, I was an actor. That's true. But gosh, that seems like many lifetimes ago. We get a lot if we're lucky.
That's true.
We do. And a lot of performers do have an activist bent to them. Need we go to Pedro Daddy? Our Zaddy of the moment Pedro Pascal has been quite an activer. So I'm kind of okay with that term.
Yes. Well, and let's face it, the best activism has a sense of the theatrical, doesn't it?
That is true. That is true. I think that's why actors and actresses make the best activists because we are overly dramatic for no reason and every reason. Yeah.
And no matter what it is we're fighting or talking about or really elevating, we have a sense of humor. We have a little sense of humor, even in the darkest days. I'm sure we're going to talk about this, but certainly my background coming of age in the 70s and getting out of the 80s alive as an activist and AIDS, there was a lot of humor. There was a lot of humor. And I'm sure we'll talk about that. But anyway, yes.
Well, and I'd add courage to that too, because I think it takes to be a performer, to get on that stage, to get in front of those lights, to, I don't know, do anything that you've got a room full of people who are sitting there judging you, whether or not you're like got the right makeup on or the costumes or whatever. That is a level of courage that I think, I don't know.
On the other hand, it's something
activists
that
need that too.
Or we've been craving it since we were 3. I don't know about you, Mattie, but I have never been a stranger to the spotlight. I have no bones about it. I have no shame about honestly, enjoy being up front.
I would think since I became an actor, I tell people now I'm more of a S&M person than I was prior to being an actor, because it is a sadomasochist to get on stage and stand there and put your whole life story, especially as a comedian, like not just being an actress, but being a comedian and telling all my own faux pas. Oh, yes, that's a whole different form of sadomasochism, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
That's a whole dimension. You are walking us down some very different pathways around one's
It is
desire
so.
for the limelight and critique. But to your point, Mark, I mean, there's a level of performance and a level of taking that critique as an activist, because you have to be willing to confront people who don't agree with you and who may not like you. Right.
That's right.
So as we talk about being actors and activists and everything, Mark, I was telling you before we started the show that we had something in common. So now it is time for me to just talk about what we have in common.
Okay.
Other than both being beautiful actors, we both have something in common, and we're both fabulous. You have a blog and a book called My Fabulous, let me make sure I say this correctly, My Fabulous Disease, Chronicles of a Gay Survivor. And for a lovely period of my time, I was on a show called My Big Fat Fabulous Life on TLC.
Oh, wow.
So we both are very fabulous individuals, and I love it.
My mind was reeling when you told me we had something in common, because I don't know if you're familiar with my kind of checkered past. But there's many things I have been at one point or another, and I thought there might have been other intersections, but okay, fabulous.
I want to explore these intersections. I
I
want to
understand
explore
that's
where
a
your
whole
mind went.
conversation.
I feel like you've just, first of all, so much fabulousness already in this call. Yeah, but also I've got to die to know what possible intersections you might have entertained.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to project anything on you, okay? But I'm
Go
saying,
ahead,
I mean,
baby.
yes, I was an actor. I owned a phone sex company for a number of years back in
Well,
Los Angeles. And I'm thinking, well, Mattie has a lovely voice. So maybe there was that. Maybe it was that. I don't know. And no shade and no judgment, because I owned the damn thing. I made a living, a good one, for a few years. And so I thought, well, maybe it's that. And then there's other darker dimensions of my past, and I don't want. So,
well, did you Google me before the show? Because it's funny you say that. Because in high school, I was voted most likely to be a sex phone operator when I graduated
no.
because of my voice. Not
Really?
cool. I really was. Yeah.
I'm
Well,
going to say the duration of this,
well-
now the duration of this interview all has to be done as phone sex voice.
I want to go to the high
whole
school that actually has that category of award, because that's where I want to go to high school. Yeah, well, good for you. So
Well, good
see,
old
I knew it.
Asheboro,
I
North
knew there was
Carolina.
something there.
Yeah, so yeah, I think we do have a lot of similarities and cross intersections. But we'll discuss that later. We
All
can't
right.
give everybody the tea. Everybody can't know.
Okay,
our
all right.
Mm-mm.
No, we have to run this call for a period of time. Every minute is $1.99 of this podcast.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, wait a
Okay.
minute. And if you would like to know more for $2.99 a minute, you can call back in. And you can get
Mattie
all
just
the
upped that $1 a
information
minute for me.
that you
Wow.
need on Power Beyond Pride. Yes.
Well,
I love it. Absolutely. This is I'm learning things about you, Mark, that I have not known. So I look forward to getting to know more about you. And I know
okay.
this is such an exciting opportunity to be able to spend some time on where you are, because you have had such an incredible career. You continue to have such an influence and a role in so many great, important conversations, that having you here to talk about where queer activism is today is, to me, a really meaningful opportunity. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And honestly, for people who may not, I mean, how could y'all not know who Mark is and his amazing book and blog? But Mark, could you give us just a quick summary of your journey that brought you here to where you are today?
Oh, goodness. I'll give you the elevator pitch, okay? Or the
that'll
pitch, or at least the thing. I am going to be 65 years old this year.
Ooh.
Thank you. I came of age in the 70s and spent the 1980s in Los Angeles. So I was in West Hollywood during the dawn of the AIDS epidemic, and tested positive the week the test became publicly available in March of 1985. And like everybody else, just figured I would never make it out of the 1980s, right? And somehow did, and devoted myself to lifting up that issue and helping others and marching in the streets and doing what we had to do to be seen and heard, and for someone to care about us, because there were definitely years in which it felt as if no one did, at least no one in a position of authority to help us in our government, in our institutions, our churches, our civic organizations. And so we had to do for ourselves. And I learned a lot from that era. and fortunately lived to tell about it. And for many years, I've just been an essayist. I write first person about what's going on in my life, our aging, HIV, being a long-term survivor, being recovering from meth addiction. That's been a big part of my story for a lot of years. And telling the truth. And we were talking earlier about how it's scary sometimes to put
Mm-hmm.
yourself out there, whatever. That's been my bread and butter is being scared, is being in front of my keyboard and saying, how do I say the truth about this thing I'm talking
Where does
about?
that courage come from?
I have a certain shamelessness. And I'm not sure where that comes from. I really do. And by that, I mean, I will not be shamed.
I get that.
And that took a lot of work. It's weird. It's like I grew up in Louisiana. I knew I was gay when I was a young teenager. And I figured if there was nothing wrong with it, and I decided there wasn't, then there wasn't anything wrong with anybody knowing about it. Now, that might have been a strange calculation when you're 16 and you live in Bossier City, Louisiana, but that is indeed what I did. Fortunately, I had older brothers that looked out for me. And I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I think I have a curiosity about other people and about the strange decisions I've made along the way. And I don't mind telling the truth about it. And I think that's what it is. I don't think that my life has been any more interesting than anybody else's. It's just that I live out loud. I live on the page and I say the truth about what's going on, about the men that I'm having sex with and how much sex I'm having and HIV and how that all, and crystal meth and how that all kind of got tangled up together, and telling the truth about it along the way, I guess. There's so much more truth to tell. I'm facing 65. It's like I'm facing the gallows, but I felt that way at 35, right? And here I am. And there's a lot of things they don't tell you about getting older. And so I get to tell people. I get to tell the truth about us as peers facing our late 60s. And so far, so good. I'm enjoying it. That was more than you needed to know, Mattie, but you asked.
It's okay. You know what? But I was going to say, I think that also goes back to being a Southerner. Southerners, we like to tell the truth. We like to over embellish, and we love storytelling. So we'll take a 10 story and turn it into a 45-minute miniseries because that's just what we do.
That's true.
And I'd love to ask you something around aging, because it's something I just turned 50. So this is a whole conversation and things like that have gone around and what it means. And when people talk about aging, I'm often like, a lot of us who came out in that era, whether we were living with HIV or not, really didn't see a trajectory of aging. Like we didn't see that as a possibility. Are you experiencing also this sort of, there's no model for what it looks like, for one? Do you feel like there is part of the things you're wrestling with as you're coming into this age? Hey, I don't know what this is supposed to look like for someone who has expressed that authentic self early on. And now I'm in this space where I'm looking at my peers and I'm like, I don't think you understand the level that what this journey meant. And then I have another sort of more complicated sort of add-on question to that. But first, can you express, like, going into 65, some of these challenges? Is part of it just your own set of expectations about not just the experience of living with HIV, but also just queer people did not really have what aging looked like?
Well, no. First of all, we didn't in the modern era of being queer. Let's say from the 80s on, where we started being on the cover of magazines and people talked openly about what it meant to be LGBT, or back in the day, gay. I remember when it was gay and lesbian, right?
That's it. Those were the only two terminology. Well, the only two that we'll discuss on the radio. How about that on podcasting? But those were the two synonymous, either gay or lesbian. Mm-hmm.
Right. Those were our choices. And that was our only vocabulary, right? And thank God our vocabulary has grown, and which I think is a great thing. However, in the modern day of what it meant to be gay and outward, we're not talking about the closeted and the self-hating and the old sad queer that ages and dies alone from pre-1980 or so, right? The unfortunate thing is we lost a generation. We lost a generation of people who could have been our elders now, who could have been the mentors who were showing us what it looked like to age gracefully. We lost an entire battlefield filled with those men. Of me, I lost my mentors in that way. And I had, fortunately, a couple. I've had a couple who have demonstrated for me what it looks like to be older and comfortable in your own skin, not feeling the need to be on the merry-go-round of circuit parties and beer busts and whatnot. And it has a sense of contentment about who we are and knows how to give back and how to mentor younger gay men. It's a strange thing because there are some strange elements to it. How do we mentor younger gay men without there being a sense of sexual tension?
Speak
How do
on it.
we, daddy boy, that whole thing? In other words, how can you be project a sense of, no, I am authentically wanting to help you. So this is not, don't get it twisted, right? It's hard because all we know of our relationships with each other as other queers by and large are transactional. Are I going to give you this? What's in it for me sort of thing? And it's hard to know when somebody is there to help you. And so fortunately, I've had a couple of, in my case, older gay men who were exactly that for me. They wanted nothing back, but they saw in me when I was younger, a talent or ability, and they wanted to help nurture that. And they did, and they introduced me to people and they supported my work or my writing or whatever it was. And made a really profound effect on me. So I guess as I'm getting older myself, have I had opportunities to do that? Yes, I have. I've had great opportunities where I've recognized in a younger person real ability. And usually it's a matter of just telling them, wow, what you wrote, what you said, at that speaking engagement, at that round table or at that protest or whatever it was, you were terrific. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you on that road to doing that. Or you're a really good writer. Have you considered submitting to so-and-so? What do we do to amplify your voice? I'm going to enjoy myself doing that because, first of all, who doesn't want to be the arbiter
I mean, come on.
of potential? But also, it'll be fun to do it because who doesn't want to discover talent?
Yeah.
And be able to nurture it, and especially somebody who maybe doesn't even see it in themselves, but it's there, but maybe they don't even recognize it. They don't even realize, oh no, you keep stepping up, honey. Step up, go higher, reach further.
I think as I look at aging as well as just this conversation, I think the best way to look at it is, for me, I look at getting older as becoming my Jennifer Lewis mixed with Andre Leon Talley mixed with just a little bit of Eartha Kitt. So that's what my golden years are going to look like, as a beautiful, trans, gorgeous, intersex, all these beautiful things, because I don't conform to just one title.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what we have to look at it as we get older, because we make the aging. Like, Mark, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking at you now. You saying you're 65. I'm still seeing 36. I don't know where 65 look is coming from, but I think we as the individuals make the aging. And as we go to break and we come back to finish this beautiful conversation, I do want to take 2 seconds because, Mark, you brought up a good point. As we go to break, let's take a few moments of silence for those that we did lose, those mentors, those unsung heroes, those people that shaped a whole generation of young men and women that will probably not get the recognition they deserve. Okay? So as we go to break, let's just honor and memorialize those people, and we'll be right back to Power Beyond Broken.
Your mission is vital. Let a great idea help you magnify its impact. As a queer-owned graphic design and digital development agency serving nonprofits, healthcare, and education nationwide since 2015, we're dedicated to growing, empowering, and activating your advocates. Our award-winning work speaks for itself. We deliver transformative change. Ready to see your impact grow? Book a session and let's get started at agreatidea.com. That's agreatidea.com.
Hey, nonprofit leaders, change makers, and community builders. If you're navigating growth, equity concerns, or just trying to make your work better, you need to know about Orange Cap Consultation, a boutique consulting firm led by me, Melody KG. Orange Cap offers community-rooted consulting to help mission-driven teams move with clarity, equity, and have a real impact. Whether it's strategic planning, meeting facilitation, leadership development, or helping you design community programs, I've got the experience and the heart to help you build what's next. Learn more at www.orangecapconsultation.com.
Welcome back. This is Power Beyond Pride, a queer change-making podcast, and I'm Shane here with my fabulous co-host, Mattie. And we are here having an insightful conversation with author and speaker Mark S. King, who makes this show, by the way, 2/3 ginger. So we'll come back to that, which is really exciting. It's actually probably more. How much ginger, Mark?
I said now with more ginger.
Now with more ginger, maybe beyond the FDA. Well, when the FDA used to actually watch these things, probably would say this is too much ginger for any of your diets. But you know what?
I don't know if it's 2/3 ginger though, because the other day I was noticing as my hair grows out, it turns red and blonde. So it might be all gingerfied.
3/4 ginger.
I'm just saying.
All ginger? Oh, I like it.
I like a little spice in my life, so I'm in good company. So we good.
Well, and before break, Mattie was noting that, Mark, as we age, I'm just going to say us gingers defy many laws of the world. And as we age, so we certainly are trying to buck the many years that we are grateful to have in our back pocket. One of the things that you talked about, which is really powerful, is the role of mentorship, the role of what it means to look for our elders. Obviously, we took a few moments to acknowledge the loss of many community members. Why I think this is so important right now, and I think about this as I start moving into this sort of elder phase, certainly there's young people who I'm hoping to coach and kind of continue to support, is that as I've looked forward to, one of the things that gives me pause about those who have been older. Now, there are exceptions to that. So I do want to throw some love out to people like Hardy Haberman, people like Ray Spannon, Suzanne Farr, many leaders in the community who've been just amazing, who've been around for a long time. But for gay men, one thing that I think I come back to sometimes is that many of the people who are pretending to be in positions of power are people who escaped a lot of the HIV epidemic era by being married. They have kids. They lived a life that wasn't the artists, that wasn't the queer courageous. It was this other life. And I think I'm really careful about the wisdom they throw. And I'm curious your thoughts on this, because sometimes that wisdom feels a little loaded with some of the normalizing that we've seen things move toward. And I'm like, but our elders, the real elders, the ones, again, I'm grateful there are people like you and other people who've been very vocal and very adamant about their role, have been really trying to draw attention to what it means and the beauty of the queer experience. But I'm really cautious around some of the elders who are showing up who didn't really embody that. And I think for younger people, I get nervous about what they're asking them to be.
Okay. I am going to reserve judgment on whatever choices anybody made back in the day when they were hiding out or had religious pressure or familial pressure that drove them to decisions that were not in their own best interest and had to live a lie for some period of time. I'm going to reserve judgment on them, because I don't know what they went through and what drove them to do that. Now, they show up now and have opinions. Great. There are because they represent a segment of our community that was driven underground for whatever reasons, and they didn't feel the strength, or they had too much fear, or maybe they faced real physical consequences for coming out then. And so they decided not to. So I'm going to set that one aside. In other words, I'm not going to go there, and I'm not going to judge them, and I'm not going to second guess why they did what they did, nor am I going to devalue their contribution in the here and now. Here they are now, and now they're bringing us the perspective of someone who did have to live that way. That doesn't make them any less authentic. It doesn't make them any less valuable to us, to the rest of us. And so I am all about activism is about inclusion. It's about addition, not subtraction. And we need all of us and includes people whose experience in our eyes may not be as authentic, or maybe they weren't fully queer their whole. I don't care. I don't care. Welcome in.
Well, and to,
I'm
to
always-
that end, I don't think my question is so much about their experience. I certainly value and I share that. It is that they have found security in a normalization.
Mhm.
And that in the queer movement is sort of reflective of some divides going on between generational divides, as you mentioned before, the broader spectrum of identities and the landscape of identities and what has blossomed as different being in the world, but also class divides, where you have people with enormous amounts of wealth that they accumulated through these different channels, playing by the rules. And now they are, in some cases, working against the success of, for example, people with trans experience. There
Yeah.
is a hostility to more inclusive spaces. And so I'm all on board with the idea of inclusion, but as you're aging, are you getting any sense of, hey, like there are people here who are leading and speaking in these movements, but they benefited in some ways by fitting in. And I think we aren't talking about what it means to be courageous.
No, you're right. I think there's two different conversations to be had from what you're talking about. One of them is, what does it mean to be? In other words, those people who have adventurous sexual identities, or who are in a triad, or they have open relationships, or they're polyamorous, or they're all of these different permutations of their sexual identities and how they live their life. Me, I'm a monogamous guy who's married and literally lives in the suburbs. I'm that guy you're talking about. I'm that guy, but do I lift up and support and have enthusiasm for my friends who live differently? Yes, I do. I don't try to say this is the way we all should live. And look at me, I'm the heteronormative one. Aren't I great? Absolutely not. I've always said that, and this kind of fits into that, activism is driven by those with the most to lose. Activism is driven by those with the most to lose. That's why regular cis white men like me were so involved in AIDS in the 80s. We were dying. We were dying. And so we were very much involved in the fight. What happened after we got what we came for, after we got the medicine, and we got the activism, and we got the FDA to pay attention, and we got the support groups and the food programs and the housing program, after we got all of that, we left. And we went and got gay married and lived in the suburbs, and were never seen or heard from again.
Can we just stop right there for a second? Because that's a whole conversation in itself. And I think that we are using it to discuss the topic of the 80s and the AIDS epidemic, but just in general, once cis white gender affirming gay men, I'm not going to say they're cis, but they can assimilate. I think once they got the right, the bigger portion of the fight for gay rights stopped all in itself by itself in general.
Oh, yes.
Whether it is about AIDS prevention, HIV prevention, awareness, whether it's about housing, whether it's about gay or lesbian, trans.
Marriage equality, or
Right. Once that section of our community got the assimilation, got the, hey, you're welcome, come in. It was like, fuck the rest of us. And I hate to say it that way, but that was right.
And I make this point all the time in the HIV community, because that's where I have the activism groups and I live. And I say, we left, and we left behind all of these folks who who did not have the resources we had, who didn't have the privilege and the money and I know how to put on a fancy fundraiser and get all this attention. They didn't have all that. And we left them. And to me, that is the outrage and the tragedy of what happened post-AIDS. And that is that we left because we all stopped dying. And meanwhile, how many trans women are murdered every week? I mean, our trans family are facing a comparable level of death and dying and violence that we once did. And we are not there to help them. We are not.
How are those communities responding when you say this? Like, as somebody who's been a voice in it for a long period of time, pushing
Mhm.
back this conversation and trying to say, hey, pay attention here. How are people
Well,
responding to that?
unfortunately, I'm usually saying it to an audience of Black women who are like, uh-huh. I mean, I'm not telling them anything they don't already know because they are the ones who are leading the HIV community-based fight right now. HIV community-based response activism is led by Black women, period. And whether it's Black trans women or Black cis women, it doesn't matter. That is the population who is loving each other and building communities and building responses and getting out people out to the polls. All of it is by and large led by Black women. And when I make that point about how white guys like me kind of got up and left, it's funny. It's my way of saying, where are you? It's too bad they went. And it's also my way of saying, oh, but I'm still here. I mean, I get to have my cake and eat it too. I'm making that point, but obviously I'm a guy that never left, or at least I didn't disappear. I stuck around.
So let me ask this question with you always being here and being very well represented. Thank you, Mr. King. We love that. Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
But you recently attended the 2025 HIV Prevention Summit. So
Mhm.
with the administration where we are now and with the environment of the AIDS crisis and just communities in general, what do you see? What's your outlook on it
We
currently?
are
And
exhausted. We are traumatized. The administration has succeeded in its whole shock and awe
Mhm.
approach of we are going to throw flamethrowers in every direction so that we just don't even know which way is up anymore. It's been incredibly effective and
Mhm.
successful. And we have lost researchers. We have lost research into an AIDS vaccine, into AIDS treatments that cannot be resumed.
Mhm.
The research has ended. Those patients, those that they're following, are gone. You can't just, with another administration, say, "Oh, okay, well now we're going to pick up that research where we left off." No, it's gone. You
Yeah.
guys have to start that over again.
Yeah.
And I have people who are literally in tears in these conferences who have lost their research that they have personally been so invested in for however. And we're talking about an HIV vaccine. We're talking about injectable medications on a once a year basis. Everything that we thought we would have that was on the horizon has been wiped out.
Mm.
And in the meantime, just funding for just funding to get an HIV test. What clinic do I go to get an HIV test now? Chances are
Exactly.
they are struggling and their hours are smaller. They're not sending out vans anywhere to come to where you are to test you. And what will the effect be? The instances of HIV will rise. It will rise among those who depended on those kinds of programs, not people like me who could go to my doctor because I have one, because I have insurance, and I can, if were I negative, get my regular HIV test in my nice doctor's office and everything's cool. No, we're talking about people who don't have that.
Right.
So
Right.
it'll be the most vulnerable. So all those places that we see HIV has always been a problem in the South,
Mm.
in Dade County, Florida. People who don't speak English don't have access to those sorts of programs. Those people will die. Will die because they will not get diagnosed. And then when they get diagnosed, it will be because they end up in an emergency room with 3 T cells and pneumocystis pneumonia, and they're going to die like it's 1985.
I'm about to say, yeah, we're going back to the 80s all
Yeah.
over again.
And I was there, and it wasn't pretty. And that's where we're at. And so when
Mm.
you ask what is the feeling, I just interviewed Paul Kawada. He is the exiting executive director, longest serving executive director of any national HIV place, there for 36 years. And he was literally in tears during my interview with him. He was so exhausted and traumatized by what has been done by this administration and everything being stripped away that he had been working for 30 years. He says, I have to find my smile again. I'm so exhausted and I need to go away and just try to get over this. And I asked him, what do you want? What should people do?
Yeah.
And he said, vote. The only thing that will change this is vote. And vote like we've never voted before, vote. We'll see what happens. And so my activism, other than going to all of the funds, and I say fun, they are kind of fun, the protests that we've had in recent months against Trump and Musk and all of that, all of my activism, all of my efforts, all of my donation dollars will go towards the election. Will go toward the midterm and turning around the midterm so we could at least stop the bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it's a gusher.
Thank you. I mean, all of that is incredibly powerful. We're going to go to break here, but I wanted to just say how potent that message is.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing these conversations are going on, my hope is that we not only acknowledge the conversations going on, but we really start talking about solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Like we really start talking about the way our communities can embolden each other, encourage that participation. Because to your point, there's been so much distance as people stepped away from the immediacy and the urgency of a movement to them. And yet we've never really addressed so many communities who have had an ongoing challenge in access to healthcare, to prevention, to support, to behavioral health support, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my hope is we start thinking about what solutions look like as well, because we're going to have to. And it's sad that we are put in a position where we're going to see so much cruelty enacted. And hopefully our better selves show up in conversations and marches. It's great that you're doing that. And when we come back, I'd love to hear a little bit about the response to your vlog work, your other media work, and we're going to take a few minutes to get to know you a little bit better. So stick with us here at Power Beyond Pride. We are with the amazing author and activist, Mark S. King, and we'll be right back after this break.
Are you looking for a way to make your philanthropy more meaningful and more aligned with social justice? Meet New Moon Network. New Moon helps individuals, institutions, and foundations move their dollars where they matter most, into grassroots movements advancing the rights and self-determination of people in the sex trade. If you're a funder ready to move in solidarity with sex workers and survivors, this is your invitation to come learn about our movement and help fund meaningful advancement for sex workers' rights. Reach out to us today at contact@newmoonfund.org and take the next step toward funding with purpose.
Hey, this is Sean Aaron, he, him, his, and I'm here to tell you about Them Boys Podcast. I'm the host of Them Boys Podcast, and as a Black queer trans man, the podcast amplifies the voices of other trans men of color as we share our transition stories. The podcast not only amplifies the voices of trans men of color, but it raises awareness and conversations around our lived experiences. You can listen to the podcast by going to themboys.org/podcast. That's DEMBOIS.org/podcast. I hope to have you join us on the next episode.
Well, welcome back. This is Power Beyond Pride, a queer change-making podcast, and I am the one and only Mattie Bynum, sitting here with the awesome, crazy Shane Lukas.
I feel seen.
And then I am having the most amazing conversation with someone that I have envied. And it's funny, Mark, I've never truly envied anybody, but you have one thing that I want to do. And I wish I could actually hear it in the original voice. But I have to ask you, how did it feel when you heard the words, Mark King from Shreveport, Louisiana, come on down? Like, how did it feel? And you got to meet Bob Barker. Like,
Okay. All right. Okay. So I guess I will be talking about this in my entire life. I guess I will. And why not? Okay. So yes, it was 1980. I was 19 years old and my boyfriend and I went to Los Angeles for vacation. We took a tour of CBS Studios Well, excuse me. And so while we're on the tour, we see a line forming to watch The Price is Right. We're like, oh, why not watch The Price is Right? Sure. And they interview everybody standing in line. Some producer comes by and chats you up, and I could tell. So when he gets to me, I just turn it on. I turn it on. Hi, my name is Mark, and I drove here all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana, just to be on this show. And
was it the Southern Charm or the Ginger Power? Which was more?
I had like bright red hair. I had bright red hair and freckles, and so I looked very Opie Taylor, All American, whatever. Very misleading, but that's what I looked like. And so, yeah, I got on the show and I ended up winning a car. And you can watch it on YouTube. Winning a car on The Price is Right, 1980, I think it's on there. And it was hilarious because Bob Barker is talking to me about being a student in New Orleans and all of that. And he says at one point, so tell me, you got a girlfriend back there at the University of New Orleans? And for a split second, all the possible answers went through my head of how to answer that. And meanwhile, my lover, Charlie, who has been screaming from the audience, wearing a matching outfit, by the way. We were both wearing outfits that were from the gay disco in Houston, and the name tags they have on, which is a big price tag, we put the name tags over the logo. We didn't want to out ourselves. But they're showing Charlie more than they're showing me because I'm up on stage and I'm kind of freaked out and he's screaming and whistling and all that. So he's on the video a lot. Anyway, so I realized, okay, let's see. It's 1980. This will never get on TV if I tell him, oh, no, I'm gay, Bob. And that's my boyfriend. That was never going to get on TV. So when he asked if you have any girlfriends back there, I said, several.
Well, you didn't lie. Because
I did not lie. So yeah, it was.
The girls, they're friends.
Yeah.
The girl, except lots of girlfriends. Oh,
yeah. Any kid that was born, I would say, before 1985, at some point in time had a sick day fantasy. Being at home, stuck with your grandparents, watching Young and Restless, Bold and Beautiful. But at 11 o'clock, I think every kid had that snow day, sick day fantasy of being on Price is Right. Because at 11 o'clock, that was all you could do. Because you remember, I know for me growing up, my grandparents, they watched the morning news, the Price is Right at 11, midday news at 12, Young and Restless came on at 12:30. So you had to be still during I'm throwing Price is Right. And still to this day, at beautiful 40 years old, Plinko is my favorite game ever. And it's so funny when I meet younger people and they're like, what is Plinko? And I'm like, you'll never understand the beauty.
We got to do a queer version of Price is Right. That's what we need.
Yes,
I think something that's somewhere between whatever that one is behind doors where we have to dress up in costumes and the Price is Right. I think it has to be kind of a mix.
Yeah. Thinking of
either that or let's make a deal.
Yeah, let's make a deal about with prices. I like that combo.
Yeah.
So Mark, obviously, in addition to this 1980 appearance, your media empire did kicked off at some point. So do you want to share a little bit about your essentially what it's been like to build up these different media channels? Because you run a blog, you've been writing for a long time. You certainly built up a career as a spokesperson in many ways around different movement needs and your own lived experience. Like what has that response felt like in this current moment?
It's been a lot of fun. First of all, I just picked up a camera early in terms of trying to figure out how to videotape things. I was videotaping with big Betamax camcorders and early on. And so I incorporated that into my YouTube channel, My Fabulous Disease. I'm all about branding.
Yes, you have to.
And so the YouTube channel is My Fabulous Disease. And really, it was a matter of when I wrote my first book, it was a memoir of coming of age in Los Angeles, running a phone sex company while AIDS appeared. And it was called A Place Like This. And so my web person just said, well, you need to have a web page to promote your book. And since you've got that web page, why don't you start a blog? I said, what's a blog? And she said, oh, you just write your stuff and you use it. You kind of, well, now that My Fabulous Disease is the blog. It's for all of my writing and whatnot. And so it's funny, I'm not as accomplished a videographer, or at least I was for a long time, but it is a lot of work. It was for me. We didn't have the modern tools we have now where you could just do it all on your phone, edit on your phone, and put in people who are, and I haven't learned that. As I say to my husband, I'm full. I'm full. I've learned all I'm going to learn about tech gadgets and whatnot. I don't want to
like
know.
that.
I don't want to know anymore. So my YouTube channel is not as active as it used to be. And it turns out that in terms of the traffic on My Fabulous Disease and all that, I learned that even though I worked hard at the video stuff, I got just as much traffic when I was writing. If I had a piece that was honest and had something to say about our current situation, or something that some storytelling I was revealing about what once happened to me, that did just as well. And I said, okay, good. I'm just going to write. And so I've really just focused. I do a lot of writing for other publications, but the writing is really where it's at for me. That's now my media. The YouTube channel still exists. People can go through look at all sorts of things on myfabulousdisease.com. I really focus on the writing and the storytelling and telling people what happened to us. And I think it's important. I think that there's always going to be people who are discovering it for the first time. I don't want to stuff it down their throats. I'm not one of those. Back in my day, you need to know that we used to walk 5 miles for our AZT.
Uphill both ways. Uphill both ways. In the snow.
Yes.
Although you're in Louisiana, so I guess in the swamp?
Yeah.
It's not in Louisiana. Don't worry. Like I said, we embellish in the South to make the story make sense. So it could have snowed on a good April day in Louisiana. The devil came up and it just happened.
We have more to get to know about you now.
I'm about to say, Mark, this is the favorite time of the show, especially for me and Shane. You got 2 Leos as your host today, and we love being petty. So this is the part of the show that we get to learn more about you. We get to be petty, get to ask you some intriguing, intrusive questions too.
Oh, good. Goodies, please.
At this time, are you ready for speed round? Yes or no?
Oh, please.
All right, Shane. Well, let's kick it off. You got the first question.
All right, I got to know. This has been on my mind. Favorite Superman? Reeves, Ruth, Cavill, or Cornsweet?
Cavill, because I think he could do some real damage.
Interesting.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Really?
Good answer. Interesting answer.
Okay, so name this island. Name an island that starts with the R in the United States.
Rhode Island.
That's a good one.
Well, that's not the answer.
It's not even an island. That is the irony of Rhode Island.
Oh,
it's the island that's not
but
an
it does
island.
start with R.
It
It does say Rhode Island. I mean, I say
finally
points.
feel like
I'm gonna say that's the point, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't know Rabbit Island existed. It's located.
Well, there's
in
Roosevelt
Mississippi
Island in New
River.
York too.
I feel like the Miss Teen USA, who said, described her perfect date, and she says June 28th. No. Sorry about
It's
that.
not too hot,
What?
not too cold.
Rhode Island. We're just learning about you. We're learning about you, Mark.
Okay.
And Rhode Island it is. All right. Favorite junk food?
Oh, potato chips. Potato chips, Ruffles, sour cream and onion.
Yes. Okay.
For sure.
What's one fundamental truth or lesson you've learned through activism?
It's driven by those with the most to lose. Tell the truth, or you don't have credibility, and then people will stop listening to you. And learn how to hand the microphone to somebody else.
That's 3 lessons. I feel like I got a 3 for 1 here. That feels like a very good deal there. That's a mentor moment. We need a little theme for that. We're like, mentor moment. I'm kind of into that. Do you prefer when you're writing, do you prefer it to be silent, or you prefer having music in the background?
Oh, absolutely. It's quiet. It's the only meditative time I have, and that is writing. It's usually early in the morning. The house is quiet. Nothing's going on. The TV's not on. It's the only way I can write. And it is truly the only meditative time I really have. When I'm really kind of with my thoughts, it's the only kind of like spiritual moment I can have where I'm just quiet, and I really look forward to it.
So the next question feeds back into the last question. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. What is the most spiciest moment you've had in your life? And I'll let you use spicy to your own interpretation?
My star fucking moments, I would say, probably, because I'm a big media whore and a star fucker. And so it would be some star fuck story, probably.
So is it more important the celebrity level or like their general appearance?
Or
Like,
did it
is it
happen?
about how they look or really just
Oh,
about?
no. It's not about how they look, darling. It's about how big a star they are.
I like it. This is what
Now I feel like I
you
want to ask questions like, now I want to get down to like a Kevin Spacey or like somebody else question and be like, which one are you going to sleep with more? Kevin Spacey, or I'm trying to think of somebody in the kind of same realm of.
Okay,
of
we're
that.
just joking, right? Because I think it's pretty well documented what my history is. Okay,
I'm just asking if you had to prefer. I was curious your level, like your star quality preference between two. I would say I would say unattractive or socially unacceptable.
well, no, I don't think there was anything unattractive about.
Spacey or Diddy.
Oh my God!
That ain't not even a comparison. Oh, good
don't
God!
They're
even
not
know.
stars. You have to pick one. No, is that an appropriate? We can move on.
It's
No,
out there now.
I've written about this. I had an affair with Rock Hudson early on in the early 80s, prior to his announcement. And this was like McMillan and Wife era Rock Hudson. Okay, well, never mind. This was
Google. We'll use someone used the Google machine for
Clearly.
what is it? McMillan and what was it? So we could both go.
McMillan and Wife. It was a
McMillan and
series
Wife.
he did. It was around the time, it was before he was on Dynasty kissing Linda Evans. He was
which did not make him gay.
We would
just so we're
be
clear.
what you would call now a gray-haired daddy.
He was a very handsome man all the way through. Yeah.
Moments that the opportunity presented itself, I knew what would be happening. And
That seems like a euphemism. I'm going to use opportunity presented itself as a new euphemism for.
And at the time, I was a strawberry blonde twink in West Hollywood. And as I would later learn, it's more remarkable if I had not had sex with Rock Hudson, because that was very much his type.
Oh. Well, as a strawberry blonde, I say thank you for taking that for the team.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'll tell you details offline.
Oh,
Yes.
well, I look forward to that.
That's
tea
another
over
discussion.
tea. Some tea over tea, if you ask me. All right.
Well, let me ask this question. What does power beyond pride mean to you?
Gosh, what does power beyond pride mean to you? Oh, that's funny. I would have to really dissect that because I'm a word person. And so I think about pride and what's more important. What is more important? To have pride or to have power? What is the more important trait? And I would have to lean toward having pride, because when you have pride in yourself, that leads to power, right? Unfortunately, we're living in a world right now that power, what's being demonstrated from our White House is that power trumps everything.
And no play on words, but yes.
Right? And so how do we put as much emphasis on personal pride, meaning personal integrity, honesty, all sorts of those sorts of traits that we value, being just as powerful as unbridled ambition and all of those ugly things that we have associating with power right now. I have forgotten your question. I've gone down a rabbit hole of language.
We are not, none of us are opposed to rabbit holes. In fact.
You are fine. That actually answered the question. And I just, we'll stop there and just sum it up there and just say thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
You have truly been a mentor in this episode. You have truly been a ray of sunshine in this episode. You have truly lightened all of us up. I know me and Shane are happier today after this episode with the illustrious Mark. It's been great having you here today.
Very welcome.
People can follow you through My Fabulous Disease, your YouTube channel. Are there do you want to share a little bit of your social channels and any channels people can find you?
They can find me on Facebook as Mark S. King. My Fabulous Disease has a Facebook page. That really is the best way to find me as well. Both of my books are available on Amazon, and I love Amazon reviews. There's nothing like an Amazon review. It's almost as good as going to sign your book in person somewhere. It's life's greatest joy. And that includes sex. Signing your book. Getting to sign your book because somebody bought it and wants you to sign it. Oh my God. Oh, it's the best.
Why a good review is kind of better than sex. And
yeah, a good review. Or
I say best review is a review of sex. Is a good review of sex. So
Hey.
I'm gonna go with getting a combo.
Okay,
Hey.
great. Where does one read reviews of your sex? Well, never.
There used to be, for those of us who are former sex workers, there used to be a site where those things could happen.
Oh, that's
Well, I
where
want to
people
say now.
said what they thought of you.
No,
I
yeah.
do know there is a website that where you can review fuckboys and guys. Because one of my friends, actually, one of my friends, his friend ended up on the website. And we were sitting around talking one night and we saw his friend and we were reading some of the things that was said. And I was just like, oh,
Wow.
so that's what you do in your spare time, sir.
You know,
So to be clear, Amazon reviews for Mark S. King should not be reviews
right.
of Mark and any of
And-
his intimate experiences. Those should be reserved for private emails, I guess. So we'll go for those and positive reviews. Oh, you need a little like a hand, like one of those little face symbol charts, and that's always I find those to be useful. Mark, you've been an absolute delight. Thank you again so much for sharing your wisdom, your experience, your joy, your insights. It is really important in this current moment, and it's something we're really proud of to not only hear from individuals who have been activists across the movement for many years, but those who are also leading new parts in their life and have grown into spaces where they're starting to shape the conversations in their local communities. And so it helps them understand also that there's these legacies, there are these learned pieces, there are these coalitions that can all be built in this moment. And so thank you for doing that for so many years, as well as continuing to be a voice that encourages people, that encourages them to step into the space. So thank you. Thank you for that.
It has been my privilege and my pleasure. Thank you for your work.
Thank you again. I am your co-host, Shane Lukas. He, him, his, and I am the owner of A Great Idea. I am a lifelong harm reduction advocate, activist, and a person who took my non-lethal mousetrap and distributed my field mouse to a local rest area. So that is what I did.
Only you, Shane, but I love it. I love it. Only you, Shane. And I am your other fabulous co-host. I am Mattie Bynum, she, her. And instead of listing my credentials, I'm going to take this time to say and re-echo Mark and Shane, we're coming up on a mid-year election year, y'all. It is our power. It is our duty to go vote. I don't care how you vote, because at this point, your vote is your decision. However, I just need people to vote. I need people to get out there. Instead of us having conversations, let's be active and let's make changes, because we have the power. We are the people, of the people, by the people, for the people. So there you go. And with that being said, remember to subscribe to get your every episode of Power Beyond Pride at powerbeyondpride.com, or you can find us on any platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts from. And make sure to always check out our next episode that airs every Tuesday of every week.
And Power Beyond Pride is a project from A Great Idea, a queer-owned design and content agency. Learn more about them at agreatidea.com.
This episode is produced by Shane Lukas, and I, Mattie Bynum, is your new project developer, and our editor is Jared Redding, and with the support of the amazing Ian Wilson.
And Mattie and I are both part of this podcast's awesome host team, a fabulous host team, if you will. And we invite you to send in your questions and comments at powerbeyondpride.com.
And once again, check out our new episodes each week on Tuesdays. And we look forward to queer change making with you next time. Thank you again from all of us here at Power.
Your mission is vital. Let A Great Idea help you magnify its impact. As a queer-owned graphic design and digital development agency serving nonprofits, healthcare, and education nationwide since 2015, we're dedicated to growing, empowering, and activating your advocates. Our award-winning work speaks for itself. We deliver transformative change. Ready to see your impact grow? Book a session and let's get started at agreatidea.com. That's agreatidea.com. Community organizers, are you ready to unlock new levels of impact? A Great Idea is offering a fantastic collection of free downloadable tools, helpful white papers, and so much more. As a queer-owned graphic design and digital development agency empowering change since 2015, we're dedicated to providing you with the resources you need to grow, empower, and activate your communities. Discover insightful knowledge and practical tools to enhance your work. Explore A Great Idea's free resources today at agreatidea.com/insights. That's agreatidea.com/insights.
Beyond Pride.